And I say, and don't forget to, well, no, sorry.
What are you thinking? Mute.
Well, we're live on Facebook and we're here with the good of the whole, the trust frequency embodied, and the dance of souls, the relationship revolution.
And wowza.
And here we are with Wowza. And
Wow.
there's Wowza, Elisa Lodge, and I'm Connie Baxter Marlow. And I don't know if we've gotten the right view. So let's see. Here we are.
That's what you wanted, right? Okay,
So,
sweet.
I'm Connie Baxter Marlow.
And I'm Andrew Cameron Bailey. Still,
Yes.
after all this time.
And today we're going to have a little conversation about humanity. Our definition of humanity that we base this course on, because this course is a radical look at the nature of the universe and humanity's place in it, who we are, and what the whole shooting match is all about. So we want to have a little chat today about our definition of humanity. And I'm going to screen share so that everybody can see it.
And this is from our book, The Trust Frequency. We start with defining some terms, some of the words we use in kind of unusual ways. If you go and look up the word humanity in the dictionary, you will not find what we're about to share with you.
So here it is. And let's just have a look at what our definition of humanity is.
Would you like me to read it out?
Sure.
So I'm going to read it out if you can't see it, because some people might be on their phones or, you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So we're going today we're going to ask the question, what is humanity? What is the true nature, the closest we can come to the true nature of humanity, this species of which we are each a part? So in our Trust Frequency book, we say this: humanity is a collection of divine, autonomous, sovereign beings who have chosen to incarnate on earth to learn and grow on their soul's journey to wholeness, each with an individual purpose and a unique gift.
So that's a mouthful.
And it's definitely not what you'll find in the dictionaries, but you will find it in our book.
Yeah,
So you can tell our book's not your everyday book.
right, exactly. And our book is the Trust Frequency 10 Assumptions for a New Paradigm. And it brings a whole construct on the nature of the universe and humanity's place in it. So we use several of these assumptions of our 10 assumptions for the foundation of this Dance of Souls course. That's an online course. And we'll tell you how to access that. You can just go to the trustfrequency.net to access the Dance of Souls course. But meanwhile, let's have a look.
May I interject?
Yeah.
Just think about this definition that we just presented here. It's actually a major assumption in its own right, right? So if we agree that this is a description of the truth of our spirit beings who come to this planet, however we want to look at that, then great. If we don't, let's talk about it. Let's just see, because there may be a whole other picture. There may be a bigger picture. This may be a very challenging set of ideas to take on if we've never encountered such a thought in our lives. So this is, if you like, it's kind of the overarching assumption. And then the 10 assumptions are how we function as humans. What is the reality we experience? What is our worldview?
Yeah, exactly. So what we want to point out here is the word chosen. Okay, so we have chosen an overarching act of free will. We've used an overarching act of free will to choose to come onto planet Earth to learn and to grow on our soul's journey to wholeness, which is our journey to self-love and self-acceptance. and we came with a purpose and a gift. And the fact of being divine, autonomous, sovereign beings is a big deal. And we are aspects of the divine. We are one with all of creation. So let's have a little chat about that with Wowza at this point, because nobody else is here.
And if anybody is out
have
there
a
and would
chat.
like to drop in or would like to contribute to the chat, please do. And, you know, Connie sort of jumped straight to who have chosen to incarnate. I love the idea of starting from the beginning, like we're a collection. Oh, it's not just one of me. There's a whole bunch of us, right?
Right.
Of
Okay.
divine. Whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, you look divine this evening. No, that's not what we meant, but right. So, you know, these are big ideas. We are divine, we're autonomous, we're sovereign. We chose to incarnate on this planet. Whoa, this is not what they taught me back in grade school.
And what does autonomous mean? What does autonomous mean? It means we are a unit unto ourselves. I don't even know what the definition of autonomous is in the dictionary, but it means that we have inalienable rights. We have, and it says it in the Constitution, inalienable rights to the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So this is a construct where I believe we're headed as humanity, that this American democracy that's now is being challenged and is this big mess, is this chrysalis of us giving birth to our divine, autonomous, sovereign nature, our ability to act according to our divinity, our connection to the divine.
Our sovereignty.
Our sovereignty.
Here's a beautiful word, sovereignty. Each of us is a sovereign being and we can exercise that sovereignty. What does that mean in society? What does that mean in relationship? What does that mean in family? These are interesting questions.
Yeah.
Huh? Did you hit record, by the way?
No.
Okay, if you wanted to record.
So anyway, let's have a chat with Wowza. I'm going to stop screen sharing this so that we can see each other and see Wowza and not be doing this screen share thing anymore. So stop share. Here we are with Wowza. No.
Might as well. I find it makes all the difference.
Okay,
All
so
right. So Wowza, what do you think so far?
You're muted.
Go.
I came into this sovereignty idea starting out as an actor, and I'm really glad about that, because as an actor, all of the foibles and things that we have in our normal self, as an actor was embraced, was accepted. I mean, that when we saw something, it was something to play. It could add to developing a new character. And so this idea of acceptance really set the foundation. And then, of course, becoming a therapist, expressive arts work and body work and all the things that I've done, I always felt in all of these different parts I played, boy, wouldn't it be something to play a really big part? I mean, why not play
like God?
like yourself?
Well, there was
Really?
years ago. I mean, you know, I started at least 50 years ago with Eureka Institute. And this was taking all of the meditations, many of the meditations from the mystery schools around the world. And I was a trainer with them for 5 years. So that was the introduction that there is no one we are not. We are the wholeness, the universal wholeness. And even at that time, as an actor, I would go, wow, what would it be like? I mean, to step in the shoes of an infinite being. And of course, knowing you guys, even to say, what would it be like to be a conscious living universe? I mean, a universal being that could walk the talk. And I would, I would start to walk and sit and stand and feel, well, it certainly wouldn't just be acting big and strong. I knew the difference of that. But this idea of from the deepest core, wow. And that's, of course, what got me into this whole wow consciousness, because it was just something about it that had no judgments, no critical assessments attached to it.
Wow.
Right?
That's a wow, girl.
Yeah. And so the sovereign for me is I'm unique, original, and yet unified.
Well, that's it, girl. You're talking unified science. You're talking the breakthrough science that's proving what you have come to know and experience and are able to articulate right here, right now. That's really beautiful.
So one thing I'd say for all of our listeners, Wowza here is a most extraordinary acting coach. She's a theater professional, a film professional, who teaches in a way that I'd never encountered before. I'm somewhat trained as an actor myself. And just to be with this beloved, amazing lady who each of these Mondays, we're getting something I really hadn't imagined when we embarked on this, which is theater training. Here we are. Let's become what? Sovereign.
Sovereign, yeah.
Instead of my poor little self that you talk about, your little, quivering self. What if I'm a divine, autonomous, sovereign being? That could sound egotistical or something, but the fact is, we are all, each and every human being is a divine, autonomous, sovereign being, and we're a collection, as we just said. So we're a collection of these extraordinary manifestations of what? Of spirit, of God, of the conscious, loving universe. Whoa, this is an interesting conversation.
With that, just that sensation of largeness, of inclusivity, like what you just did. I mean, the wounded child, right? And all of these parts of feeling separate, feeling alienated, feeling unloved. Those parts then in the bigness could be so much more beautifully embraced. And I saw from the great actors that I had an opportunity to work with, what made them great. They loved their parts. When Jack Nicholson, I might have mentioned this story once before, but he, when he got the part, we were in Cantor's Delicatessen, was also for 3 years with Lee Strasberg at Actors Studio, and it was after class.
In New York.
Yeah, in New York, this was in the 60s, right? And where he had just gotten the role to play the devil. I forget the name of the movie. And he was so excited. And he jumped up from the table and went, oh, I love this part. That wasn't gonna devil, I never forgot that.
Well, yeah, go on.
Well, just that in the bigness, all the parts are embodied, but something even more important, they weren't embodied just on face value, but what was the hidden energy behind it that this was blocking? And so in the playing with acceptance, all of this hidden energy started to come out. And I think that's really been the core of quite honestly, my secret of ageless vitality is being able to really love these different parts and feel into the energy behind them and use them now to open even wider to this wholeness of being.
Yeah, so you've said a bunch of things that apply to this course, because this course, the Dance of Souls, is about coming to that self-love, to love all of ourselves so that we can bring that all of ourselves to the party, to that gift, and not those things that are being held back. And that, so that's what this whole process is about. And the job we came on earth to do was, we said, okay, conscious loving universe, because what we haven't told these folks is this, that one of our assumptions is that it's a conscious loving universe. It gives us what we ask for, and this overarching act of free will said, okay, conscious loving universe, I'm coming to earth and I'm going to learn to love the parts of myself I don't love yet. And I give you permission to take me on that journey. And I give everybody in my life, every circumstance, every person, everything, to take me on that journey. Show me that light that I am, but also to show my shadow, the parts of myself I don't love yet. And so my soul incarnates into a family so that I can get certain wounds, I can get certain experiences that I take on as wounds. And it's those wounds run my life basically as I go on this journey until I become conscious that the people in my life that are showing me those wounds have been called to me by my soul, that my soul is writing the script of the movie for those people to come and show me abandonment. If I get to experience abandonment, show me, and your soul with your crossed eyes and your, your skin thing, amazing. I mean, your life is a phenomenon, and you had an epiphany that took you out of that poor, pitiful child into this magnificent being. And it's this process of life, of circumstance, that this course is to help us understand and stop. So we stop blaming others. We actually are grateful to others for bringing us those bits of our shadow that we don't want to see. Okay, we want to, our soul wants to, but our ego self has put up all these defenses and these masks and all this stuff to say, okay, I'm great, I'm wonderful, when in fact, the soul self is still saying, wait a minute, I'm not there yet. And the ego self is saying, hey, yes, I'm wonderful. And we have defense mechanisms, and we have masks, and we have all this stuff that we put on to pretend we feel okay about ourselves. And this whole life process is about feeling those feelings, like if somebody abandons me, doesn't go to the movies with me and makes me feel abandoned. You abandoned me, I hate you. No, you didn't go to the movies with me. You brought up my abandonment issues, and I'm going to look at why somebody would abandon me. Because I'm not okay. I'm not enough. I'm stupid. I'm ugly. So that's the big flip into looking inside when somebody triggers us by abandoning us, by whatever it is, whatever behavior it is that triggers us. So I just want to bring that context into, because it's a big flip from victim perpetrator to beneficiary benefactor. So,
So I'll just keep returning to the fundamental question for this conversation, just so we keep hit the reset button and go back and now see what we just brought to the discussion, right? So humanity, we are a collection of divine, autonomous, sovereign beings who appear to have shown up here to play a role. It's like a movie set or a theatrical or creative phenomenon. Like, what if creator is just this extraordinary director? Just letting loose all these, not only human beings, but go swim on a coral reef and have a look at the fish. These extraordinary manifestations of the creative impulse of the conscious loving universe, of which we are a part. We're only one species of countless millions of species on this planet. Each of us here to play a role, and we could think of that role as sort of an acting. I'm going to be Andrew for this lifetime, and I'm going to do whatever Andrew does, right? Or, whoa, our role could be, it's just an extraordinary challenge to discover our role. So as we say at the end of that definition of humanity, we each come with a gift. What is our gift? So if you're an actor, what is your gift? Is it the gift of inspiration, of being a mirror for millions of people out there? Whatever that gift may be, we come with a role. So I think I would certainly agree with that. And we can modify that role, because in a certain sense, we come here, I believe we arrive on this planet as these little beings who know everything. But as we come to consciousness in this reality, we forget everything from the reality we just left. And so the first part is like, what was I supposed to be doing again? I look around in my crib and say, and I usually just put my foot in it, right? Reach down, grab my foot and suck on my toes. And that's the first role we play, a cool little baby. And then we start to socialize ourselves, fit in with the family, fit in with our culture. And then once we begin to graduate from that, wow, now, what was it again? What did I come here to do?
Came here to love yourself.
Came here to look in the mirror and love myself. And every one of you, I look in your face, I look in this mirror, and I see a reflection of myself, because yes, we are actually manifestations of oneness. And yet we've temporarily emerged into this whole other reality where we look like we're 7 billion, not these two-leggeds walking around this particular planet. And who knows what's going on in all the other realms. Wow. And I like to think of us, and this is sort of this is also in the book, a way I love to look at us is we are completely, permanently, inextricably connected to the entire universe. We now know that. It's not something that's been known forever. We know it through science, we know it through intuition, we know it through meditation.
Near-death experiences, people who've had near-death experiences.
Right. So we are totally connected with everything all the time, and yet we're not just merged into undistinguishable, we're not just part of a mass of energy. I have emerged as a very specific being, Andrew Cameron Bailey, and each of us has emerged in that way. I like to think of us as roving sensory organs of the divine. So we rove, we travel, we have experiences, and our consciousness is feeding back to central headquarters. So, whoa, that's interesting.
It's
so
evolving through us.
So we play this role as the universe pushes us out into beingness, from the unmanifest into the manifest. And here we are playing these roles so that the universe itself can have these extraordinary experiences. Because if you're a universe, trust me, you have no chance of going to the bathroom. It just doesn't happen that way. You have no chance of meeting a gorgeous person and making love to them. Universes don't get to do this. Only one universe. So the manifestation of this incredible diversity of experience, of consciousness coming together into what appears to be physical form. What an extraordinary thing this is that we are engaged in.
Yeah. Yeah. Any thoughts?
Just would like to add that every creature, every baby came into this life to play. And what do kids do? They look at any behavior of their parents, things that they've experienced. I mean, you play cops, I'll play robber. I mean, it doesn't matter what the role, right? And they get on their imaginary horse and start riding and, whipping the rope over, God knows. I mean, it's so beautiful to watch the free-spirited play that I feel got a really bad rap as childish frivolity, nothing to take seriously, quiet, pipe down. Who do you think you are? Just be regular. Put away those childish things. And yet, what does a child do? But it's exactly what you're saying. The only thing that they can play the most down dirty role. In 1 minute, they're a shoot 'em up cowboy, but in the next minute, they're a Tinkerbell fairy. And playing those roles with such delight keeps expanding them to get a real flavor of, whoa, I'm so much larger than I thought. Because the moment you do take on a role consciously and get off on it, I don't care if it's, the most abandoned soul. I remember playing Laura in Glass Menagerie in New York. This is an off-Broadway show that we did. And Laura had all of this glass collection, and I'll never, the breaking of the glass menagerie, and the trembling voice, and the tragedy of her object of such, like I'm right, I can feel it right now. But to know, and it wasn't acting like I'm putting it on, we could really feel this in the way we were trained. I could, it's just instant. It can be instant. But we knew, like the child, we knew we were playing. And having that experience when in life, there I was, where there was a loss, there was a disappointment, and here was this trembling. And letting myself tremble, let myself feel that. But there was always that little bit of, I am acting. I can own this experience, and to then release this experience just as I did on the stage. And somehow that's where I found the sovereignty, that I wasn't so taken in, I wasn't so lost in the part. And I could actually see the beauty of the role and the whole quality, and how it opened up, let's say, a vulnerability as strength, a vulnerability to our largeness rather than a blocking and a defense and protection of our smallness.
So Wowza, you came in for some challenging experiences. I mean, you were treated like a leper, you were bullied, you had a father that you tried to please, so let's speak about these experiences when we incarnate into these experiences for our self-love. How have you seen those experiences for people who are listening, who've had horrific childhoods, who have had abuse, who've had all manner of experiences? What do you say to them to help them understand this soul's journey, this free will incarnation into these experiences, the soul calling forth these experiences? I mean, that's a huge flip from victim to beloved. And what can you say from your heart and from your experiences about that?
Wouldn't it be extraordinary if they had this dance of souls in grade school?
Yeah, well, that's
where children had a bigger picture of who they are rather than a blank slate in which anyone can program on top of what they want the child to believe, et cetera, et cetera. So this is what we're dealing with, I feel, massive programming on an instrument of such refinement, of inclusivity, of a wholeness. And to let that child know that they are as big as the mountains they see, the sky, the earth, that they everything is their brother and their sister. And so when you could say when these I mean, just when, let's say I looked in the mirror one day and my eye was crossed and my skin was breaking out, and Billy the bully was, you know, saying, don't get near her, you'll catch it. Ooh, ugly duckling, alligator skins, right? And as a mother to my mother, for instance, had just, who had sense, you know, in terms of helping a child like that, right? All she wanted was the sun to get on my skin, so she wouldn't, I couldn't cover it with a long sleeve blouse, for instance. So I had to feel this kind of pain, of judgment, of critical assessments. But I must say, at the time, I simply had to live with the unlovableness of who I was. But yet, when I became an actor, I was able to look at those experiences and revisit it again in a whole new way. And it was funny because then, you know, as you know, from this ugly duckling, I became a beauty queen. I mean, if that isn't the most insane role, talk about a flip. But I never knew which was crazier, because here on the one hand, you know, I was again the ugly duckling, and in the other hand, I was this beauty queen, which my peers were intimidated by. The jealousy, you know, so one girl came in, she wanted to cut my hair off, you know, and with boys, I was still a little kid who had been so removed from relationship. I didn't really know how to communicate with kids my own age, because I was always with the older people that were selling the products, and loved the fact that I didn't run around with boys and do all this crazy stuff. And it just, quite honestly, it just took years. But basically, I knew there was a power in me that no one could beat out of.
See,
That
so you came in with a
saving grace.
powerful, and so that's the thing for people to touch base with as we move from this victim perpetrator model. See, because this victim perpetrator paradigm, this good and evil, right and wrong paradigm, see, our trust frequency book takes us beyond that to know that it's all love.
It's all love.
It's all love. And so that sense of you that came in knowing that you had this power, that you were this love, that nothing could really take it away from you. That's the thing, I think, for us to, as the paradigm shifts into that, out of that victim perpetrator. So the bully is your gift. Because my granddaughter's going through all this bully, this, that, and you know, this whole dance of bullies. She's 11.
She's 11, and yeah,
It's a whole dance. One minute the friend will be loving on her, and the next minute she'll be bullying her. Okay. So this,
as we get to know it,
yeah,
as actually get a feel of it.
As we're going out of one paradigm into another, there's this dance. I mean, which is, I believe, is what's going on in the collective consciousness right now, and this ridiculous, amazing mess that's going on in our country today. I mean, it has an absurd level to it, to me. But I think it's a transition from one paradigm to another. So we're just all enmeshed. And I've also have a friend who was horribly abused as a child. I mean, horribly. And she just knew she was God. Yeah. You can't take, you know, she just knew, and so I think, like you said, giving children that knowing, that power within, regardless of what the behaviors our soul have brought us to to make us strong in that knowing and to love all those parts of ourselves. Hey, wait a minute, you can't abandon me. I'm magnificent. You don't want to go to the movies with me, that's your problem. It certainly isn't my problem that you don't want to go, you know, that you said you'd go, and I'm not going to feel abandoned, because guess what? I'm me. I'm a divine, autonomous, sovereign being, and I came with a gift, and I'm bringing that gift to the party. See, that's what this course is for, is for getting down and getting that understanding and going through the process to get there. So
I just really feel I was blessed with knowing the extremes. I mean, from complete degradation of my very soul. I mean, I was worthless in the light of what was happening, and then suddenly I was glorified.
but you from the inside out. From the inside out, though.
Well, what my spiritual practice began. What on earth is in the middle? Who is
Okay.
From this extreme to this extreme? It was like a third force opened up. And that's where I feel I tapped into, because of the acting really helped in the playing of that little child, bringing her out and having people cry at my performance and feeling absolutely overjoyed that I could affect a group through my wounding in this way. And then, you know, playing the royal queen, and also that where did you learn, you know, to be able to express yourself so flamboyantly and really blessing? Well, I've had many experiences now where I can feel the energy behind it, and that is love, the energy behind all of the drama, all of the roles, and each one has a pocket of it. So if even for a second I'm going to, you know, invite people to, you know, like an abandonment. How can you abandon me? You know, just actually, you know, lights, camera, action, even if it's 10 seconds. Oh, my shoulders, you know, my heart, just the way, you know, the voice, everything, and film it, you know, do a selfie and watch the rushes in your global theater practice. Get the family together and watch these, and if there's a real problem between, you know, siblings, whatever, you know, okay, we're here, let's role play. Go for it. Lights, camera, action, and film it. Oh, there's, whoa. Now, can you switch roles? The dominant one, could you play that little subservient one? And how about the other switching? And I would have people do this a lot, you know, where the one would act, you know, in control, doing as you do as I say, and to feel, actually see the strength, take the words off. Whoa, all of a sudden that little weakling that appeared like a weakling, in 2 seconds, playing the dominant role and going, whoa, look at that strength, look at that power. And they'll go back again. Okay. What do I do now? Brilliant. Brilliant. Bravo. What is in between the two? You know, what's the third force? Well, a force that is a conscious, loving universe that can embrace it all and really honor, you know, the dramatic dance we came here to portray. But we're no longer identified with it. That's the big. Yeah, no longer identified.
Let's hit the reset button again, just quickly. Let's return to the fundamental guiding question of this conversation. So we, humanity, are a collection of divine, autonomous, sovereign beings who have chosen to come to this crazy reality.
Yeah.
Why would we do that? Why would divine, autonomous, sovereign beings show up and become victims or abused children or whatever that is? It's very interesting, isn't it? I mean, I can look at it from a certain perspective and say, okay, our species simply doesn't get it. They don't know that we are divine, autonomous, sovereign beings. And so they've made up these behaviors that are hierarchical, and I'm better than you, and I'm going to tell you what to do, or the other way around.
Exactly.
So it's a question I wanted to ask Connie, actually. Why would cosmic spirits such as ourselves show up on a planet such as this and go through these dreadful things?
Okay, well, guess what? We've had a job to do for all of creation. This is I see big pictures. Okay, so we've had a job to do for all of creation. So we incarnated on this planet that was sitting in this lower frequency of fear, separation, scarcity. And so we built all these systems. We've had all these behaviors. We have all these different tribes, all these different colors of people speaking different languages. So it's a whole stage is set for us to transmute these energies of fear, separation, and scarcity as three of the big ones, right? So we're in these 3D suits, we're in these 3D bodies, and we've got a job to do for the rest of creation. When we open our hearts finally, I say all of creation is awaiting the love in the human heart. And there's an Icelandic elder who says that we have to melt the ice around the human heart. Okay, so that's what's up is us choosing out of free will, like we chose to incarnate. So now we have to choose to bring peace on earth, heaven on earth, choose to align with our oneness, choose to align with our divinity, choose to align with our gift, choose to walk in alignment with our instructions, our conscience. That's actually what this country was founded on by actually my ancestors, the Mayflower Pilgrims, who came here looking to build a society based on freedom of conscience, acting according to our conscience. And they met with the Native Americans who have the same process of going out on the hill and crying for a dream. Okay, Creator, what do you want from me? And you get it, you hear it, you act on it, and the whole tribe acts on it. So that's my whole thesis with this nation, this founding of the United States, with this vision that we can do this. And I think we're headed that way. That's freedom, that's equality, that's justice, that's all the stuff United States promised it would do and be. And it's a process, it's a messy process. So we agreed to come into this 3D situation and said, okay, I'm up for it. So here we are helping people, giving people tools to deal with it as we start to transition out of it, because the earth is in a higher frequency now. So the energies that we're responding to are love, our kindness, our compassion. So it's pulling that forward now, our kindness, our compassion, instead of having to, well, actually, see, if people came to Earth to experience war and famine and all that stuff, because it's free will and it's a soul's journey, then ultimately we will have done that job, and nobody's going to be coming anymore to die by murder, to be abused, you see what I mean? That if this is all serving that, then as we transition, nobody's going to come here for that anymore. Does that make sense? Have I made myself clear?
So hang on, let me just follow that one up a little more. So this is really, to me, this is just really interesting, because we're actually asking this question: what does it mean to be a human being? What's our purpose? How did we get here? what did we come for, why, etc. So it appears that we come, in one sense, to play a role or a multitude of roles through our lives, right? I may play the role of an abuser, a perpetrator. You might play the role of a victim, and we meet and we have that sort of dynamic in our dance of souls, right?
Right.
So are we both growing? You see, we said to grow on our soul's journey to wholeness. So am I the perpetrator, the bad guy, growing as well?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It has to be. It's an equal dance. So you're learning about your perpetrator aspect. Why are you the perpetrator? Because I don't feel strong enough. So I've got to take power and control and put this person down because I don't feel strong within myself. Right? So perpetrator suits me because I'm going to control me, who's the victim. And so then I have to look at my victimness and say, okay, why have I got this perpetrator in my life again? Because every relationship I've had has had a perpetrator in it. So I have to go inside of me and say, okay, what part of me don't I love? What part of me thinks I should be beat up on and controlled because I don't have any value? So then I go in and say, okay, you just made me feel worthless. So I have to go inside and say, okay, what about myself do I feel worthless? You didn't make me feel worthless. I feel I'm worthless. And I need to deal with that, or I'm going to just leave you and bring in yet another perpetrator in the exact same story, the exact same, they say, what is it? When the past is present, it's your work to do.
Uh-huh.
So then you get to stop being the perpetrator because I don't need you to be the perpetrator anymore.
Okay, and I think that's great, and that's enough on that subject. I want to say one final thing. We'll bounce back to Wowza, and I think we've got another.
Oh yeah,
we've got about another 5, 6, 7 minutes. So this is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, if I am the perpetrator who's manifested in your life, how do you feel about me?
I don't like you very much.
Well, that's not fair.
I don't like perpetrators, but I've got to look at myself and find out why you're in my life, just like the one before and just like the one before. It's my job. So I'm not going to make you bad and wrong for being the perpetrator. I've got to look at myself and heal myself.
And why did I show up in your life in this role?
Because my soul called you to me and calls forth that behavior.
And how do you feel about that?
I don't like it. Not any fun.
And how should you feel about it according to the trust frequency?
I should feel grateful. Gratitude.
In the attitude.
Yeah, you go from blaming others to gratitude.
Here's the thing, and I'll shut up after this. But it seems to me that we manifest people in our lives who exhibit behavior that puts us through a lot of hell very often. It puts us through a lot of heaven as well, if we're in a good balance. We meet someone, we fall madly in love with them, and the next thing they're screaming at us, and we've got, where did this thing come from? And then I'm supposed to be grateful to that person because she or he is showing me a side of myself I don't yet love, or showing me a side of myself I'm completely unaware of.
Yeah,
So these roles, this game, and I love the fact, Wowza, that you brought in play. So in one sense, this is the divine play. Do you know the Sanskrit word lila? It means
the divine play of God.
That is it. So it's the divine comedy.
It is.
It's the enactment, it's the dance. All of that word lila, that beautiful, beautiful Sanskrit word. So we're in this play and we have these different roles. And it seems to me that this maybe the biggest challenge is to really be grateful for the idiots in our lives. Because if someone's an idiot, I just want to walk away or say, hey, would you see that pier over there? Would you take a long walk off that short pier, please? I'll listen for the splash. And yet, if we really know what's going on from the highest level, it really behooves us hard as it may be, to summon up the gratitude to be able to say thank you in a humble, in a sincere and humble
Well,
way.
when you
not-
call someone else an idiot, you have to think about, how do I think of I'm an idiot? Okay.
All right.
All right.
No, but
So
that's-
you have to turn it all into us,
Yeah.
because it's our movie. We're writing the script, and it's about our journey to wholeness, our journey to self-love and self-acceptance.
I have one question usually in this. What is the gift this person is bringing? If I get caught in victim and I attract what you would call the perpetrator, very different energy. Because of our head centric, we think so much in words. But as we know, in terms of the feminine energetics of feeling, of emotion, of expression, this is the creative right brain, and the left brain. So if I ask, what is the gift? Oh, as a victim, again, I have soft spoken, I'm walking on eggs, I'm unsure. And here I'm with boom, 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 boom. If they're seeing, oh, he came into my life to balance out my energy. I mean, that's just one idea.
Okay.
If I can step into those shoes without the perpetrator and just, make myself known, take care of business. What happened to the victim? I mean, we can move through these so fast by being far more sensitive to the energy that these roles are carrying. And by just modeling, entrainment is the word, of just modeling a little bit of that perpetrator's energy, we are even keel. And for that perpetrator, when we know the game and we've gotten this kind of information, it's how to get this information to the mother and father or the caretakers of young children coming alive today is, I think, the real job is education. Come on already. This unified field has been around for over 50 years. It's just beginning to scratch the surface.
As far as us knowing that we're part of this.
Exactly. Then we can play with all the roles. And the Joker. There's a Joker. There's the chaos theory. The only thing, we're not a still lake, where there's nothing ever going to ripple on the water. We would go to sleep. We would never grow and change at all. We have to consider that. And that we need, quite honestly, these shocks, someone just splashing the water on our face. It does, whatever it is, loss and disappointment is going to happen.
And what I wanted to bring in is the trigger.
Yeah.
Okay, trigger, when we're triggered. And so that's what you're speaking of, I think. It's water on the face is the trigger.
Yeah.
Inside of us. When we're triggered, then we know it's our work.
Right.
And then we've got to breathe and say, okay, I'm not going to go into my defensive behavior and tear you apart. I'm going to breathe and I'm going to think about this, and I'm going to let the circumstance unfold. And here we have the men coming
Norman.
on.
Hello, Norman.
So,
Greetings.
but when the trigger comes, to breathe and think about it and remember the dance of souls.
And to that crazy thing of actually being grateful to the one who is triggering me. Oh, is that difficult?
That's
not easy. But hey,
gratitude for the gifts they've brought us instead of blaming and putting it out there and defending ourselves. So yeah, so great. Well, I think we'll go off
all
of
right, beautiful.
Facebook
The
Live
men
now.
are showing up, and we love the men. And here's Norman as the forerunner of this next paradigm.
Yeah, so we have a few minutes. Wowza, did you want to say anything in closing?
Again, even with the splash on the face, that splash is bringing me a new energy. It's disrupting habitual patterning that can get so comfortable in our comfort zone that
Yeah.
we can't see the forest through the trees,
Our defense mechanisms, like, okay, yeah, and
right? And
we
so
got
it's like,
those all well in place. and-
whoa, I mean, we can play with these things, wow, we can play with them, and thank you, then thank you
Yeah,
for giving me a little wake-up call there.
That's right. And to be
Right,
grateful
that's
for
all
it
a wake-up call. Hello, is
first,
anybody home?
and these defense mechanisms that have served us so well and gotten us this far,
Yeah.
but really they have prevented us from doing our work.
and we drop them already, right?
Yeah, so can
You
we
like
let those
More.
people in who've triggered us and let our heart open and say, hey, guess what? It's
Yeah.
me, it's not you, it's me, and I'm up for the job of seeing how beautiful I truly am.
Yeah. And I'm just putting play instead of work.
Play and work could be indistinguishable. And
Yep.
I would even go so far as to say they should be, they can be.
Yeah.
If my work is so compelling that I love it and it's indistinguishable from my play and vice versa. Whoa. So here we are, humanity, a collection of divine, autonomous, sovereign beings chosen to incarnate on earth.
With a gift and a purpose on the soul's journey to wholeness, self-love and self-acceptance, and alignment with our divinity. So
And each
We'll-
bringing a gift
a gift,
and
a purpose. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So this was a great conversation, Wowza. Thank you so much. This was some very great theater training aside from anything else.
Yep, and
Thank
we'll
you for
jump
that.
off Facebook Live now, and we'll say goodbye to our friends, and
So
we'll
a
say hi
long,
to the
slow
guy.
fade to black and back up
And off
into